Wakiigua kamahuwa ngunyĩra nĩguo ngũrũrĩrie na ngũthĩrĩrie tondũ gaka nĩ kanya kohoro kuma metumi ndigi magũrũ. Rĩtwa rĩakwa nĩ Sarah Wambui wa Mwangi.
Unless you know what you're looking for and unless you know how to guard yourself, it won't be until someone comes and says, I am gay, be gay also. I'm LGBTQ, be LGBTQ also. You know, it comes from a lot of things, the conversations we have, the things that we are watching, the things that parents are allowing their children to watch, the internet.
From the internet.
Yes. Now you find the people that were drawn into it now start also having those conversations with others. Because the rationale is, nikichukua huyo akue hapa, tutakuwa wengi. Na tukiwa wengi, then we can live comfortably. You know, because no one wants to be alone in a certain thing. So it's like, nikiwa na 1, 2, 3, if I can convince them that this is a good way of living life,
Come of it. So that is how you recruit others.
Yeah. It starts from a delusion that you have yourself. But by the time I was getting there, nilikuwa nimesha, I have indulged in it. There's now so much shame. And this is something else that is in that community. There's so much shame that you can't stop. Because as soon as you stop, the shame overwhelms you. You're like, sasa hata nikiacha, who will love me? Who will take me? And you see now the devil has you in that. So now, the only solution in our minds is
stick there.
Tuendelee tu. This is who we are, this is what we do. And that's why now you get comments like someone saying, this is who I am, this is how I was born. I was born this way. The covenants that we make with the wrong person, the covenants that we make with the same sex, they bind us even in the spirit, especially in the spirit. So you find that even though someone might come and cry to you saying, I don't want this, you'll find them there tomorrow. Even though someone can come and even cut themselves and say, I'll never do it, outside of God, you just don't get out of it.
Sorry.
And if you do get out of it, if you try and do it with your own strength, remember you're fighting a devil who has existed a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people it's like, unataka kutoka, but you want the benefits that it gives you outside of being in that community. And it can't work that way.
You must live.
You must live. You must live.
Because association is the key.
Yes, because no matter what you do, as long as association iko, you'll always be dragged back in. So that's the first practical step. Cut off the friendships. And the thing is, you owe no one an explanation. Haufai kukaa chini uambie mtu ninatoka juu ya hii na hii utoke. The same way that ukiweka mkono kwa moto, your mind will tell you just leave. Haitakuwa ati negotiating unaambia moto, unajua hii moto unanichoma, wacha no, you leave.
Hakuna ile blackmail ya repercussions that once you leave this community.
Yes, there's that. Yes, there's that. That's why I'm saying.
What do they tell you?
That's why I'm saying it's very hard because you get threats. There's assuming that you are working somewhere where that was why you were hired.
Yes.
So now you see your livelihood is being threatened.
Hihi ni uri waria ngima ya mutu wa Daddy's Choice? Ngima tu. Daddy's Choice ni mutu uraruga ngima ina cama muno na iri na indo cia gwikira hinya na ugima mwega wa mwiri, amu ukonyoragwo ubacĩrĩirwo na utheru ni Mukenya na thogora wa Mukenya wa kawaida. Daddy's Choice, cama wa mutu wa Daddy's nĩo mata wendo wa mũciari. Daddy's Choice, swear by it and at it. Asanti sana mtazamaji wa Kanyaka Uhoro TV. Kuma kaunti ya Kiambu, no thũmbĩ na rũhuho nĩtũrairie mwaki na tũtianangĩte. Cemania naniĩ mwarĩ wa Wangobu mĩtambo-inĩ ĩno ya YouTube ya Kanyaka Uhoro TV. Ngĩaranĩria na mũndũ ũmwe ũrĩa tũgũkorwo tũgĩkũmithia ciĩko iria ikoretwo igĩthiĩ na mbere cia kũnyararithia mwana wa kahĩĩ. Na tũkorwo tũkĩaria na njĩra ya Ukristiano ũrĩa tũgũkorwo tũkĩrũgama na mwana wa kahĩĩ. Kwa siku ya leo tuko hapa Githegi Bay. Githegi Bay iko pande ya Ruiru. Kunaitwa Githegi Bay and Boat Club. Hapa ukitazama utaona kuna shamba very smart
Supu sana. Ukitaka kuleta familia yako, kama mnataka kuja kujivijari, mnakuja hapa Gibegibe and Boat Club. Iko pande ya Ruiru. Kama uko na harusi, kama uko na sherehe yoyote ile, hapa utapata utamu wa maisha. Nyuma yangu kuna maji ambayo ni maji ambayo utakuwa na michezo ya boats. So ukifika hapa utapata hiyo yote na utafurahia. Wewe na familia yako, watoto kama kwa sasa wako nyumbani, utapata kufurahia. Na tena tunakuuliza uendelee kujivijari na unga ya Daddies. Kiangalia hapa nyuma yangu tunasema kuna a taste of Daddies love. Ni ile unga ambayo ni tamu na inakusaidia hata kwa nguvu mwili wako. Kwa sasa nataka tujiunge na mmoja wetu ambaye anaitwa Israel. Ataweza kutuambia majina yake yote na atuambie yeye ni nani, ndio tuweze kuongea kuhusu a certain topic wengi wenu wanaogopa kuongea. Kuna topic ya LGBTQ na tukiongea tunataka kuongea kuhusu vile tunaweza ongea na vijana wetu wasija wakajipata wameingia kwa mambo haya, vile tunaweza wajulisha mtu ambaye anaweza kuwa anataka kukuingiza kwa mambo hayo, utaangalia dalili zipi. So tutaongea na Israel kwa sababu yeye alikuwa mmoja wao, ametoka huko. Ni jambo ambalo tunakemea kama Christians, na sasa tunaweza kujiunga naye ndiye aweze kutupea habari kamili. Bwana Israel.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Hapa tunajiita Kanyakauhoro TV. Kwanza nikushukuru sana.
Asante.
Kwa kupata ukakamavu kufika hapa.
Yeah.
Na kuongea kuhusu this topic LGBTQ ambayo watu wengi wanaogopa kuongea kuhusu. Na our main aim, we want to condemn it and at least talk to our boy child, create awareness for them to be able to note some of the signs. If someone wants to recruit them to this kind of thing, what are the signs they're supposed to look into? Maybe first of all, you do your introduction, tell us who you are, and maybe how you got yourself into it. And then we continue. Feel welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Israel KINYOLO. I'm a native of Kenya. I was born in Nairobi. I grew up there, but when I was a teenager, I moved to the UK. Got an amazing opportunity to go play sports, football. So got a contract, went, studied, played, worked, then I came back home. And it's in that time there that two major things happened relating to this conversation.
When we were doing sports?
When just before I had left, during my entire stay there. So I was there for maybe about going on 10 years. So the first one was obviously the main aim of this topic, which is getting sucked into that lifestyle. And then the second one was finding Christ. So those two things zilinipata nikiwa huko. But there are things that started while I was here in Kenya. So even with the conversation that we're having, I think it's very important because they might think ni kitu iko huko inakuja huku, but there are things that have seeped into even our culture today.
Correct.
Maybe
our viewers are watching us and they are asking themselves, how did you get recruited to that LGBTQ thing? Maybe you can tell us.
Yes. Believe it or not, I don't know. It's so, at the end of the day, it's a scheme of the devil. They are very subtle. Unless you know what you're looking for, and unless you know how to guard yourself, it won't be until someone comes and says, I am gay, be gay also. I'm LGBTQ, be LGBTQ also. It comes from a lot of things, the conversations we have, the things that we are watching, the things that parents are allowing their children to watch, the internet.
From the internet.
Yes, you find you're just very careless with how you're monitoring, especially your children's internet use, or the kinds of movies they're watching, or the kinds of conversations that they're having, even with people as close as neighbors. Some could even be family, unfortunately. You find that people are too focused, wanatafuta the big signs, but it's actually the very small things. Then if you don't pay attention to them, you find your child has been recruited into it. So for me, when I think about it, there was no a big thing. It was just from conversations I was having with people, things I was seeing online.
People of your age?
Yeah, people of my age. In high school, it wasn't a gay conversation or LGBTQ conversation, but all these things, they start from a place of lust.
Okay.
So unapata, you're having just conversations about, a girl. Then you go into, sex, and this movie has this scene. Then you go and watch this movie having this scene, and then you start
Wow.
looking for such things in movies. Then movies, they don't satisfy anymore. Then now you start looking for them actively online. Now, when you get there, you're at a crossroads because, again, you have to remember this is a scheme of the devil. He gets you into lust. Then when you get into lust, now that's where it starts to, you deviate. There are those who go into lust for women, lust for men. And you never know until you get there. It's something that it catches you completely off guard. And there's so many reasonings, people say, I was born this way, I was made this way.
Actually, I was coming to that because
Yes.
most of them, I remember there was a certain interview I did with a gay man.
Yes.
And he was convincing and even telling us that he was born that way. How is that? Are they born that way?
I would say ultimately no. Ultimately no. This thing is a choice. And even as we're seeing it today, because in the past, it used to be a strong argument. But today, you're seeing someone is either L, then they're moving to G, they're moving to B, they're moving to T. They're all over the place. So it shows that...
Maybe you can tell us the meaning of
Yeah, so L, there's lesbian,
Yes.
gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex. There's so many other things, and now and there's new coming out almost every day. You find that someone is, the term that they use is identifying as this and that.
Sorry, come up again.
Identifying, like they say today, like I identify as gay, I identify as all these things. So you find in the past when someone was just saying
They're
that
hiding these LGBTQ
and,
terms in the identification.
yes, yeah. So someone says I identify as this, you're just kind of wrapping it up into something that looks presentable. So to answer your question, in the past, it used to be a strong argument. They could say I'm born this way.
Correct.
But they themselves have become the counter to that argument, because you find someone who is gay is also saying that they identify as transsexual. They're saying they identify as this, they identify as that.
That means you're gay and you have a wife, you have a family?
Yeah, you could have a family. Maybe you say that you're gay, but you also have relations with other women. So it becomes very confusing. But again, by their own lifestyle, they have shown us that actually you're not born this way. It's a choice that you make, and you have chosen to be this way, you have chosen to be that way. Where the issue comes in is when people hear that it's a choice, they think that the choice is as easy as how you would choose, to have either water or soda.
Yeah.
So when you come from that, obviously then it's not a choice. But it's it's still a choice because it's a very deep thing. Like it happens internally. You convince yourself, or you're convinced through circumstances. Unfortunately, some people get into it after going through very, very terrible things.
When you talk of convincing yourself,
yeah.
I met a certain lesbian and she was telling me, I believe I am a man trapped in a woman's body.
Yes.
So they convince themselves to be who they are not.
Yes, yes. And when it comes to the human mind, the same way that it can do great things, it can also do very perverse things. The way that you can, the way that a woman can, the mind can be so strong that it allows the body to give birth. That's something very intense.
Correct.
And the power of the brain gives you a strength that you can't even fathom. It helps you through very difficult situations.
You're right.
On the opposite, it's the same. If you convince yourself either through circumstance or through an active choice that you feel that you are not of that body, you'll feel that way. And now that brings the cycle of confusion. Because as you're continuing to convince yourself in your mind, your body is developing.
Correct.
So your body is craving things that God has given us through the natural order, which is a man for a woman, a woman for a man. But because you're convincing yourself, and not just convincing yourself actively, but throwing yourself into all these medias, all these conversations with other people who are of that same mind, it becomes very, very difficult to, first of all, leave it, or even just be honest and say, actually, this is not how I am. It's just what I want to be, you know. So the problem that now comes with that is, if you surround yourself with those people long enough, or if you surround yourself in that media long enough, you fall into that trap. And the thing that I saw personally, I thank God it never happened to me, but the thing that I saw personally was, it gets to a point where your mind breaks. And now you have to start finding things to cope.
Like?
And that could be drugs. There's a very big drug epidemic in this community. And the other one that's very big is now the sex. You find that now you need to be having the sex to convince yourself.
You're craving for that.
It's a craving that we put upon ourselves, because you rationalize that if I participate in it, then I will become it, you know. And for us saying it now, it sounds very wrong, but that's the kind of mentality that is in this community. Unfortunately, I can't speak for all of them, but this is the general community, because it's just all about gratification. It's all about just enjoying life. It's all about, rarely do you find people who are in this lifestyle, especially young people, who are functioning effectively within their God-given rights, in their God-given potential. You find that they end up needing to do certain things that affirm or give them the confidence to continue to be in that community. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, now you find the people that were drawn into it now start also having those conversations with others, because the rationale is, nikichukua huyo akuwe hapa tutakuwa wengi, na tukiwa wengi then we can live comfortably, you know, because no one wants to be alone in a certain thing. So it's like, nikiwa na 1, 2, 3, if I can convince them that this is a good way of living life,
come of it. So that is how you recruit others. Yeah.
It starts from a delusion that you have yourself. And I know the words I'm using are very strong, especially someone who would be in that looking at this, they might think that they're mentally unstable. That's not my intention, but it's the reality.
It's the reality.
It isn't, that's not how God formed us to be. God gave us a mind that when it comes to relationship, a man for a woman. And no matter how we look at it, no matter what we say, that's how God made us. And anything outside of that is a perversion of the plan of God.
I'm loving the way you're explaining it. That maybe you're there and you are in it. We are not here to condemn anyone. But we are here to encourage them that you can get out of this. Because you are not born that way.
Yes,
so believing
definitely.
that maybe you're a woman, you're a man trapped in a woman's body, and vice versa. And coming to that, let's back to Israel KINYOLO himself.
Yes.
How old were you when you got yourself into this? You said you were a teenager. How old?
I was a teenager around, I was in high school. Again, remember I said I don't remember how it quite started, but I do remember it started with an addiction to pornography.
Okay.
This was as early as Form 2.
Form 2?
Form 2, maybe 15, around 15, 16.
Yes.
And I was here in Nairobi. Like I said, I was born and raised here, so it's something that happened here. Just casual conversations with people. You're just watching, maybe someone comes and says, oh, I saw this movie and this person alikuwa ameiva sana. So you go and look and you find, oh, it's a woman that is very attractive. Then now you start looking in that direction. You know, kwanza at this age, puberty, everyone is just very hot, looking for such things. So for me, how it happened specifically was I opened that door into lust. And it started with pornography, just looking at innocent, pictures I thought that were innocent, but at the same time, pictures that are on TV.
But there's no one who introduced you to pornography?
No one. There's no one that came to me and told me, watch this, or someone who drew me into that.
Sorry.
It was in the things that are available today. You switch on the TV, these are things you see, which is why parents should be very, very careful with the things that they let their children watch.
Because I hear even cartoons.
Cartoons have now started doing that, yeah. You find if you're watching from a distance, it just looks like okay, it just looks like a normal cartoon. But then you tune in and you hear what they're saying, and our children are being brainwashed into that. And that's exactly what happened to me. And it got to the place where now I have gotten into pornography. I am sneaking into my phone, hiding in the house, watching this pornography.
Without your parents knowing.
Without my parents knowing. And it was never their fault. They did the best that they could. They made sure that we had everything that we needed. They made sure that we were in good schools. They provided for us. It was my own internal perversion with the doors that I chose to open. So now I am at this age and I am attracted to porn. I cannot function without it. And now, which is why it's very different for other people, but for me what happened, I was facing a lot of depression at the time when I was younger. So this depression, it was leading me to have very low self-worth about myself.
Why were you having depression?
I really don't know. It's, to be honest, now that I'm older and I can look back, I can confidently say it's a spirit.
You didn't have issues maybe with your parents?
There were no issues. There was nothing ever. My family was and still is all alive, functional, intact. My mother and father love each other. I have a sister, I have a brother. We're all very okay.
Why would you get depressed with such a beautiful family?
Let me tell you, the topics of mental health, people think it's just that you go through something traumatic, and then now depression comes. But it's a spirit. It's a spirit that is being employed by the darkness,
the evil one.
By the evil one, because he knows if I can get this thing in you, your self-worth goes down. And his ultimate plan, I believe, for this generation is lust. Because he knows that if I can get you perverse in lust, I will have you forever.
Wins, yes.
I'll have you forever. So whatever way he uses, for others he uses drugs. You know, like there's some people who you find in their families, no one took alcohol, but all of a sudden they started. No one took drugs, but they started. And you look at their lives, there was nothing wrong. It's just we were not careful with the things that we're exposing ourselves to.
Sure.
And the spirits came, and they have legal claim. And for me, that was what happened. I was just having low self-worth. And all of a sudden, I'm watching porn, and it's not giving me what I want anymore.
Sorry.
And then now that same voice that is telling me, you are worthless, you are all these things, now begins to tell me, you know what? You don't like women. There's something else that you like. You need to explore.
That spirit came up in form of a voice?
It's just voices. When I'm alone, it's just like when I'm, and it comes when sometimes it's a verbal voice. You can almost hear it. Sometimes it's just in the head, because now, when I'm now watching porn, you know, my mind is just looking for lust. It's looking for the next good thing, the next high. Sorry. So now you find that, for me, how it happened and how a lot of the people that I've had conversations with, it's just a small voice here and there. It comes, you know, the devil is very patient. He knows that once I get you in here, I can be patient. So it didn't happen overnight. Just like a voice here, like a voice there. It's telling me, watch this one, watch this one. Try this one, try this one. Jaribu hii. Hii sasa, it's not satisfying you. Ebu just go and watch this one. Ebu now go and watch this one. And before long, that's where I was. I find myself still wanting to watch porn, but it's not the regular porn. Not that there's any regular porn.
Regular porn as in the normal sex.
Yeah, the normal sex. Now I am very confused. And it's like, do I find the men attractive? Do I find the women attractive? And all of that culminated when I moved away, now moving to the Western world, where it's now all over.
Now you're past Form 4.
Yeah, this was at Form 4, just going into university. Like I was around maybe.
Went to the university in Kenya?
No. I went to the abroad. So that was when I moved. So now I've moved and I've gone to the west, where now that is a lifestyle that is glorified. It's like it's okay to be LGBTQ. In fact, it's encouraged to be LGBTQ.
And the most unfortunate bit, you don't have parents to watch.
My parents, they have trusted me, rightfully so, because I was a child, and I still am a child that has shown that I can take care of myself. They trusted me with an opportunity, and I went there, but I was carrying something. I was carrying a deep lust, and now all of a sudden, I'm at a place where it's very openly done, and not just openly done, but it is allowed and actually encouraged. And now for me, all of a sudden, I am in this community, and there's even more confusion, because now the things I'm seeing on the screen, they're things that I can see in real life. These are people that
You didn't even try maybe to have maybe such kind of a thing with a girl
I tried. I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
By the time I was leaving, I was really trying. I was really trying.
Thanks to God.
Honestly, it was just God.
Yeah.
It was really God. But unfortunately, God is not a forceful God. He's such a loving Father.
Yeah.
And it got to a point and I rejected him. And I think that's what the devil gets us to. So even to our children, they may look innocent and they are innocent, but when this thing attacks us, the free will kicks in and God can only do so much. He can't force you. You know, he can open up doors for you to repent and turn away, which is what he ended up doing it. And it was very violent when I said yes to him, that I want to give my life to him again, because it meant taking out a lot of things. But by the time I was getting there, I have indulged in it. There's now so much shame, and this is something else that is in that community. There's so much shame that you can't stop. Because as soon as you stop, the shame overwhelms you. You're like, sasa hata nikiacha, who will love me? Who will take me? And you see now the devil has you in that. So now, the only solution in our minds is
stick there.
Tuendelee tu. This is who we are, this is what we do. And that's why now you get comments like someone saying, this is who I am, this is how I was born. I was born this way, you know. But when we bring it to the Bible, because like we must look at it from the Bible sense. Even Jesus knew that this would probably be something that someone would say, that I was born this way. And this is why he said, you must be born again. It isn't about just saying, I am no longer gay, I am no longer this, I am no longer that. It is, be born again. This thing, there was an acknowledgement from Jesus that the sin that we find ourselves in, it has taken over us. That's why we are born into a sin nature. And he says, you must be, iyo kitu, you must kill it. And it's not just porn, it's all other things, lying, gossip, all this, you know, like when we're talking about this conversation, there are some people who would be sitting at home and they are judging those people so much, forgetting that they are also in bondage. You look at someone who is in LGBTQ and you are saying that they are so evil, but you're an alcoholic. You can't stop gossiping.
It's only that they are on that other
line.
They're
on that end now.
Evil,
unaona
and you're on the other way.
I can never be them. And that's what they say. But the solution is the same. Jesus says we must be born again. But because we're talking about this conversation, I don't want to deviate.
Yes.
It's a particularly difficult thing to get out of. The same way that people can be convinced that they're born this way, it takes something greater to tell you that actually this is not who you are.
Are you telling us that once you're enrolled into this, getting out is an issue?
Getting out is the biggest issue. Remember, like I was saying earlier.
Why, is it addictive?
It is very addictive. Remember, as I was saying earlier, this is the devil's end plan. He knows that if I capture this generation, and if I capture, it's something that has happened in the Bible. Paul talked about this. There were issues in the church of men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women. It is something that he has always tried to preserve. Sodom and Gomorrah, a very, very big issue, to the point where God had to destroy the entire city.
Yes.
We have to remember, to get out of this, we must think biblically. Why is the devil attacking this thing? The first covenant that God made with man was marriage. So the devil is very jealous of that covenant. And he knows that if I can attack this one thing, I have an entire generation captive. So the reason it's so hard is because once we're there, the covenants that we make with the wrong person, the covenants that we make with the same sex, they bind us even in the spirit, especially in the spirit. So you find that even though someone might come and cry to you saying, I don't want this, you'll find them there tomorrow. Even though someone can come and even cut themselves and say, I'll never do it, outside of God, you just don't get out of it.
Sorry.
And if you do get out of it, if you try and do it with your own strength, remember you're fighting a devil who has existed a long time. If you're fighting it with your own strength, you get out of it and get into something greater. That's why today, God forbid, you have people who, they get into this community and they start doing the worst things. You hear the stories of the kinds of actions that they're doing with the people that they're doing with. People are even getting into it with younger people. And now that becomes a cycle where now you're starting to hear stories of people who are in that community, young people, and they're telling you, I was touched by so-and-so. Someone, an adult touched me. Someone led me down. I was involved in so-and-so, and you find that it was an adult that got them into it. So you're finding that the way someone got into it in the past is very different to how they're getting into it now. But it's all leading to the same bondage. So it's very hard to get out of it, almost impossible.
It takes God.
It takes God. There is you can say that you'll go to rehab, you can say that you will get the help you need, but if it is not God,
Oh my God.
you will forever be in it.
I want us to take a break.
Yes.
And once we come back, you're going to tell us that you've left Kenya, you have gone all the way to the UK.
Yeah.
Here it is allowed, it's the order of the day, it's encouraged.
Yes.
It's actually, people, even I hear there are some of the NGOs who fund for it, actually even here in Kenya.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us those stories. And most importantly, now that we have students at home, we have a very long holiday, the December holiday, 2 months.
Yeah.
The students are going to be at home. I want you to create awareness for them. Tell them,
definitely.
These are some of the signs that you're going to, maybe if someone wants to recruit you, you're going to be very careful and watchful of ABCD signs. So we'll be coming back.
Definitely, thank you.
My viewers, Kanya Kauhoro TV, I want us to take a break and then we will have a bite of ugali from the daddy's meal, the taste of daddy's love. I told you this is an ugali that is made with all the caution that is required when you're making any flour. And if you can see, we even have the pure wimbi ya uji. Wala wanapenda kunywa uji. So tutarudi. Kwanza we take a break and then we will come back with KINYOLO telling us his story. Now he's in the UK. How is life unfolding there now that LGBTQ is allowed and even funded? So we will be back shortly.
Hihi ni uri waria ngima ya mutu wa Daddy's Choice? Ngima tu Daddy's Choice ni mutu uraruga ngima ina cama muno na iri na indo cia gwikira hinya na ugima mwega wa mwiri, amu ukonyoragwo ubaciriirwo na utheru ni Mukenya na thogora wa Mukenya wa kawaida. Daddy's Choice, cama wa mutu wa Daddy's neo matawendo wa muciari. Daddy's Choice, swear by it and at it.
Mwiroreri wa Kanya Kauhoro TV ni twacokereria na mundu gwitwo Israel KINYOLO nigetha athie na mbere na gututariria rugano rwake rwa kuma hindi ria turaga muturire ucio wa ukombo wa LGBTQ na riu ni muhonoku na thaici atwire atiriri riria athie kuria UK gwaikarira atia. Bwana KINYOLO, naambia watazamaji wangu that we are back. And we want to focus on your life at the UK. Umefika huko, umepata now this thing is allowed and you're free to do it. You have told us what happened and maybe you tell us your journey when you are there and how you got saved and some of the ways that maybe somebody who is in this can maybe get out of that thing. How what are some of the signs or some of the ways that the person can use to get out of this thing? In a Christian way.
So nimefika huko. I am completely in that lifestyle. And the thing about such a lifestyle is, especially in a place where it's very open, it's not just allowed, like I was saying earlier, it's encouraged. And even by law, unapata that even the places where you're going to work, it's encouraged to hire from this community. So you find the society is making it convenient for you to be someone in this community, because otherwise wewe tu ni mtu wa kawaida. So now if you want to get a certain job, you want to be seen in a certain way, you are encouraged to go down this direction so that in the hiring process wanaona huyu ni LGBTQ, we need that in our company.
You mean that happens?
Yeah.
In the UK?
Yes. Diversity.
Isn't that blackmail?
It is, but now you see, it's what we were talking about earlier. Because there's this perversion, the people in this group, they are convinced that this is a good way of living, so they want to create spaces, safe spaces for such people to exist. So
how do they tell that I'm a real LGBTQ? I can lie?
You can lie.
Yeah.
You can lie, but now you see, again, we have to remember, it's a plan of the devil. If he can get you to submit to it, that's how he starts planting seeds. So you can say, I will lie so that I can get this job. But you get into that job, now unaona you have now entered the lion's den.
Because they will be on you.
They will be on you.
Okay.
So if you like it or not, you will be bombarded, utaambiwa hivi. So even if you are strong, hata kama uko na what kind of strong will, you will be trapped in it. And one day you just fall into it. That's
so
it.
Unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I am. And to get out of it, like we've said, it's just Jesus.
Okay, it takes God, but
Yeah.
How did you get
practical
into
steps?
Practical steps.
I think God comes in many ways. The first main way that he comes is to come and tell you that you're wrong. And that is something that this community doesn't want to hear. So the question is, when God comes and tells you that you're wrong, what are you going to do about it? The practical steps are very painful. Let's be very clear about it. Very painful.
How?
Because it would mean changing your entire life.
And friends.
Starting with friends. It means leaving this friend group. And you know, to us, it sounds, we're just achana now. But remember, like I said, there might be people that you're working with. There might be people that you're even living with. There could be people that you're seeing every day. And now you have to wake up and say, today, nenda kwa simu yangu, huyu delete. And these are people that would help you with your career. Correct. People that would help you with your education. People that when they found out you're leaving the community, will actually make your life harder.
Or maybe they had even been your stepping stone to where you
There
are.
you go. The so-called destiny helpers, but you can't call them that because they are not of God.
Yes,
you find someone who helped you get a job and is the same person who can make you lose it.
Correct.
So when they hear that now you're finding this lifestyle we are living bad, all they have to do is say this, say that, and you've lost your job. So leaving the friendships is not just, it's not like tukiwa watoto ati huyu si rafiki yangu anymore. The repercussions are very big. But that's the first thing. That's what I always tell anyone that is struggling with this. Wakikuja anamwambia the first thing, have you left that community?
Oh yeah.
Because some people it's like unataka kutoka but you want the benefits that it gives you outside of being in that community. And it can't work that way.
You must leave.
You must leave. You must leave.
Because association is the key.
Yes, because no matter what you do, as long as association iko, you'll always be dragged back in. So that's the first practical step. Cut off the friendships. And the thing is, you owe no one an explanation. Haufai kukaa chini uambie mtu ninatoka juu ya hii na hii, utoke. The same way that ukiweka mkono kwa moto, your mind will tell you just leave. Haitakuwa ati negotiating unaambia moto, unajua hii moto unanichoma, wacha no, you leave.
Hakuna ile blackmail ya repercussions that once you leave this community.
Yes, there's that. Yes, there's that. That's why I'm saying.
What do they tell you?
That's why I'm saying it's very hard because you get threats. There's assuming that you are working somewhere where that was why you were hired.
Yes.
So now you see your livelihood is being threatened.
Yeah.
Nakwambia, so now because unaona wewe si wetu anymore, it means that you hate us.
Go your way.
Go your way, and we'll make sure that no one will ever hear from you. And they go out of their way to bombard, to start stories, to start rumors.
Tarnish your name. To
tarnish your name, because wanasema kama umetoka, it means that you are someone that hates the community, you hate love, that's what they call it. You are a bigot. Majina mingi sana. So that's the first thing. Leave the community. Second, you must get help. If it is professional help, if it is I identify how you got into that and you deal with that. So for me personally, when I identified it was depression.
Oh yeah.
Get help for that depression, because if you leave and come back,
maybe
counseling, therapy, go for it. There's no way in Christianity.
Confession? Do you have to confess maybe to your parents or people who can help?
I had to.
Okay.
That was something that was keeping me, and my parents were. You can imagine the shock. It was such a shock. They felt.
How was it once you confessed?
I thank God for the parents I have every day. I thank God for them.
How did you do it, first of all? Did you call them?
I called them. It was from where I was. Let me tell you, the day it caught me, the day that God came and told me, hii unaiacha leo, you must leave it today. Nilitoa simu mali nilikuwa nimesimama.
Along the street, from the house?
I remember I was just close to my house.
Okay.
I called my parents and I told them, this is what I've been doing, this is who I've been, and I don't want to do it anymore.
I need help.
I had to tell them I need help.
Whom did you call, your mother, your father?
I called my mother. I'm closer to my mother.
Of course, boys. And the mothers. Definitely, girls with their fathers. That's obvious.
I called my mother. I mean, you can imagine as a parent hearing this news, you're also very
What did she
helpless.
say?
She was helpless, but she was there. There's a parent's instinct.
Actually, that is what I
Yeah.
want to get from you.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
did she tell you over the phone?
I think for me, the first thing was she assured me that this is not who you are.
Correct.
The shame that has been that you feel has led you down here, that is of the devil. This is not how God sees you.
This is
not you. That was I needed to hear that.
There is no love like mother's love.
I needed to hear that. This is not you. That it started to shake things in me.
Wow.
And now from there it was now practical steps on Aya. Now because you know this is not you, you've left the friends.
Correct.
Aya, you have identified what the issue is. For me, it was depression. For someone, maybe they were raped, they were assaulted. It's very painful, but you have to deal with it.
Sorry.
You have to deal with it.
Sorry.
If it means going to confront the person so you can get closure, you find the way to do it. But your eternity and your life on this earth is more precious.
Correct.
Than that. You have to go through it.
You're very right.
So leave the friends, confess. And you confess to the right people.
Oh yeah, not everyone.
Yeah. Which is I was saying, it takes God. It takes God. Because God is the one who will show you confess to this person. When I was there, it was God who told me, call your mother. The other people I would have called that now I look back and I'm seeing, they would have really, really even forced me to go even back. They would have told me, we knew, no wonder uko hivi na hivi. You might even call like a jealous family friend or a jealous cousin, and they take that opportunity to throw you even deeper. They ruin you completely. So there's those three things. Another fourth practical thing, and again, all of these things are painful because it's in this community you are used to gratifying the flesh. So now all of a sudden you have to kill the flesh almost overnight. So you leave the people that you call friends, you confess and face what might be embarrassing, whatever, but
I'm feeling for you because you all alone as a person in the United Kingdom. Your parents are here. They're the ones whom you're calling for help now.
Yeah,
I'm actually feeling
because there's really no one there.
Yes.
So there's that. Now the other one, which is something that a lot of people are refusing to do, and it really it pains me, is to stop watching these things.
The porn.
Not even the porn. The porn is easy to stop.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard, but it's easier than what I'm referring to. It means that you stop watching some of the favorite programs that you watch.
Like which ones?
Oh, anything that can lead you in that direction. Anything that like if you know that if I watch this movie, there'll be people kissing. And if people are kissing, they will lead me down. Yeah, I'll get enticed. Okay. Even if you can tell yourself, no, but it's man and woman. No, but the devil knows that's where he got you the first time. And you know that you know that this is how you are got. So now you're coming to tell people, you need to stop this. And like, hapana, siwezi acha hiyo. Soap operas. Yes. Those ones, first of all, they are becoming if you look at the soap operas when we were younger, they were not as...
Okay, Akina the Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
Actually, our parents wouldn't even have allowed us to watch.
Exactly.
They could not.
And even those ones at that time, even though they were for adults, you find that the level of even nudity, it wasn't that much. It was there, but
it wasn't that exposed.
Compared to today, the things you're seeing that even children are being exposed to. It's something very hard.
People in bed and all that.
People in bed doing all these things. Like hapa ndio ninaambianga watu, you need to really take control of your life. You sit down and
Parents,
you ask yourself.
I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah. You ask yourself, is this worth the rest of my life? And in God's view, is it worth my eternity? Leave those things. If it means you never watch another movie for the rest of your life, will you not be joyful? Will you not be a functioning member of society? Will you not be loved in Christ? Some of the songs that we listen to, they are so vulgar. You go and tell someone, stop listening. They're like, that one I can't. You
can imagine I even listened to Music Copyright Society of Kenya. Actually, they banned some of these songs from being played on radio stations.
And you hear people are complaining.
In it.
And you hear people are complaining and you're wondering, why are you complaining? They're doing a very noble thing. These are the things that trap us.
Very noble.
So to me, those are the main things, the main practical steps. And then now from there it gets personal, depending on your personal journey with God. If it means now diving into the Bible, having a very strong relationship with God. Isikuwa ile ati you're going to church and the pastor is reading the Bible. Chukua Biblia, jisome. See the love of God.
Talk of the Bible. What does the Bible say about LGBTQ?
people have perversed that thing. They have come and said that the Bible doesn't talk about it, that Jesus doesn't talk about it. And it is
How
talked
now?
about.
And we can read about Sodom and Gomorrah.
We can read about it in the Old Testament and the New Testament. This was an issue in the book of Romans. Paul was talking to people and saying that they have traded the truth for a lie. And he goes into the lie that people have bought into. He talks about the men exchanging, men sleeping with men, women sleeping with women. But now you're finding people who are coming, who are calling themselves Bible scholars and saying that that's not what he meant.
Oh.
Now, no, but that's what he meant. It is men and men, women and women, and it is perverse. And then someone comes and says, but Jesus didn't speak about it because sasa wanaona wameshikwa na Paul. So now they go to Jesus and say, Jesus didn't mention homosexuality, but Jesus mentioned something. He talked about marriage. And he said marriage between a man and a woman. And the best example I like to give is, sawa, Jesus didn't mention man, woman, woman. He mentioned man and woman. In my example, I say, assuming I have a party at my house next week, and I say, only wear red, the red that you're wearing. I haven't said anything else. I said, just come in red.
The dress code.
The dress code is red. If you come in blue, will you come in?
Utabaki nje.
Utabaki nje. But I didn't say, do not wear blue. Do not wear, so Jesus didn't say, he didn't go into all the things. He gave a clear thing. He said, man, woman. So anything outside of man, woman, is perversion.
Yeah.
So when you come and tell me, but Jesus didn't mention gay, no, sawa, he didn't mention, but he said man and woman, and it's man and woman.
No, people just try to look for a leeway.
They're looking, and I think that's the thing that the devil does. He gets us where you want it to make sense so that you can be free to do whatever you want to do. But God knew, and he spoke about it. And another thing that the Bible talks about is the fact that there's no condemnation. Once you give your life to Christ, no matter what you've done, you are loved. Now, with that, there's consequences.
Oh.
You will not just get, like now the things I was talking about, it won't be easy.
Oh, it's not an automatic forgiveness?
No. There is forgiveness.
Oh, yes.
But now, the consequences could be now, like what we were talking about, you'll be hated by this community.
In fact, I wanted to ask you, how did the community receive you? Now you are from the LGBTQ side, and now you are on this other side of what we say it's the normal life.
It was even to this day, it is something that is just, it's very nasty. It's a very nasty response.
Maybe you can share your experience.
My experience was twofold. So from the community and from the church.
From the church.
From the community, it was expected. I knew. Because it's something that I saw immediately. As soon as I said I'm no longer in this, I saw the animosity and I was like, ni sawa.
From those in it.
Yeah, from those in it. Munanichukia ni sawa. I can't force you to love me. In fact, I wanted you to love me, and look where it got me. So when I left it, I knew that I would be expecting this. What I didn't expect was the reaction of the church. I have been saved.
This time you're still in the UK?
I'm still in the UK.
Okay.
I've been saved. I have given my life to Christ. I want to start a new relationship. I know that I was in the wrong, but he has said I'm in the right. Now I need help. Because when someone comes out of this, they don't come out alafu they're perfect. The same way someone coming out of alcoholism, they don't come out and they're perfect. They need people to walk with them. Coming into the church asking for help, the shame that was given, the shame that was there. Again, like we talked about earlier, someone says, that can never be me. They have already compared themselves. They're saying that one is a big sin. Mimi siezi. So you find that there was a bigger struggle to remain in God because of the church. God. You find the people that God has called you to go and speak, which is why I'm very glad we're having this conversation. Because there are some people who are leaving that community and they're going to their local churches and they're being even shunned more, that they're now considering, ama nirudi tu. Because nimetoka, I've done all this and there's no love that I'm receiving. So now you find the place they've gone to get freedom is pushing them into even more bondage. Because I have talked with people who have been hurt by the church. And you find that when they go back, they're the ones who become the biggest activists of it. They're the ones who give their lives completely to it because they're saying, "Ato huyu Mungu wenyu." And you see, it's not God's fault. God has appointed the church to be the help
What do you think the church can do to show love and accommodate these people, because they are coming from sin, they are running away, actually running into the church, and then the church tends to they are pushing them away. What do you think the church should do?
The Bible says to judge well. The Bible doesn't say do not judge. It says judge well. So Jesus says, if you do not take out the speck in your brother's eye before you take out the log in yours.
Yes.
But he goes on to say, because that's why people stop. But he goes on to say, first take out the log in your own eye.
From your own eye.
And then you will see clearly enough to take out the speck in your brother's eye. The log in the church is pride. You find people who are in the church, they've been saved for so long that they've forgotten.
And they become judgmental.
They become judgmental. So mtu anasahau that Mungu alikutoa mahali wewe. And even though it wasn't that one, you would have been worse. Mungu alikutoa from alcohol. Mungu alikutoa from adultery. Mungu alikutoa even from lying, from disobeying.
And
God took you from some and other evil ways.
So nikikuja nipokee.
Ndio hiyo. And you know, when you have that mentality that God, you saved me. Whoever comes through your door, you will have two right reactions. The first one is you will show them the love of God.
Yes.
And the second, you will not encourage what they're doing. Because I think that's what the church falls in that where they don't show the love of God. Alafu, and on one extreme, they don't show the love of God. On the other extreme, they're saying, wewe kuja tu, ni sawa. You can still keep doing what you're doing, but we'll just love you.
Hiding in the church.
Hiding in the church.
Yeah.
How many stories have we heard of these things popping up in the church? You're having the LGBTQ people in the church. So you find the best response of the church is to remember you are saved and you are worse. And God has given you that love. That love you show to the same person who is coming in, but you don't just show that love without being tough. Because remember, that sin is a tough sin. So you need to look someone in the eye and say, what you did is wrong, it's ungodly, but this is a space of love.
Yeah.
That was what I ended up receiving in the church after failing and going and getting it from different places and being ostracized from the church. But when I finally received that, I tell you for a fact, that's where true transformation began.
Did it stop you from going to the church?
It almost did. It was just God. He provided the right people. My current best friend, he got me out of that. He sat me down, and just like I'm saying, it was that same thing. He told me, this is wrong, but this is a place of love. And the church that he was going to that ended up now being my church was a place where I received love, but I was made very aware that this lifestyle is a wrong lifestyle. And we need to change these things, which goes back to the practical steps. So they're the ones who helped me even when I was cutting off friends. They were there to be my friends. When I was even trying to talk to my parents, because remember I told you I talked to my parents while I was still in the UK. They're the ones who stayed with me for the rest of the time till I was able to go back home. So you see, the church ended up being a very safe space when it was done right.
Yeah.
And I think for us today here, that's what we need to be. We don't condemn these people to hell. Condemn the act. It's a very bad act.
Yeah.
But remember those people.
But not the person.
The person is someone who is suffering. Help. Yeah, it's someone who is suffering. Don't look at them, even if they tell you, oh, I'm okay, I'm all... Remember, it's someone who is suffering.
They are in the LGBTQ, but they are not enjoying it.
It is not an enjoyable thing. We have been made in the image of God, every single one of us.
Yeah.
So we will only function in the ways of God. So even if you run away, you will end up, which is why, like I was saying earlier, the drugs have become it's become a problem in this community, because now you get to a point where your own body is not cooperating. You are doing this and you're still not feeling happy. So now you have to induce happiness.
You're not happy, you're feeling rejected.
You're feeling rejected.
You're depressed.
Yes.
You're just wishing, I wish I can get out of this act.
Yes.
And so many other issues.
And then that's what has led, in this community particularly, you have a high rate of suicide. People are getting to the end of themselves and they're just deciding, let me just end it.
Because they're just having this regret amongst themselves.
It's pure regret from themselves, and when they try to get help, they're being shunned. So
by the society, by the church.
So they end up either getting deeper into it and doing even more perverse things, or just deciding, since everyone has said I am a useless person, I can never recover from this, let me just end myself.
Yeah.
You know. So this whole conversation actually ends us in a place where now you have the right view of these people. they might say everything they're saying, but there are people that are suffering. Just like all other sins, people like all other sins are suffering. Someone who's an alcoholic, they may say, I love it when I drink, but follow them. You'll see. They're led to that drinking because they realize that there's something that they're missing. There's a disconnect in their value, and they find themselves in this place. People who are violent, you find, if you just follow their story, you find that they might say that they enjoy being violent or they thrive in it, but you find there's a disconnect somewhere that is causing them not to function in the way God has made them. So for us,
there's something you're
church,
bringing into my mind.
Yes.
That once maybe you are in this and you've really tried to walk out of it on your own and it's not working. So you tend to turn to either being a drug addict, alcoholism and such issues.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
and eventually suicide.
Eventually suicide. You find in this community, it's very encouraged. The alcohol, the drugs, I mean, it's encouraged everywhere, but you find particularly in this, especially the drugs. Alcohol could be give and take, but the drug pandemic has been very...
all over.
Yeah, all over. And now even the pills, people are taking pills just to make sure that they're high, that they forget all these problems and participate in this lifestyle.
Pretend to be okay and you're not.
Yes. And again, like you were saying earlier, if you convince yourself you're okay, you see now how they function. So now you're like, the drugs help me. Now they're justifying even the drugs.
I want to take you back.
Yes.
Certain questions that has just come in my mind. Once you've mentioned drugs that people are taking, to ensure that they forget about what they are doing and or what is happening in their lives.
Yeah.
I hear there are some drugs that LGBTQs take.
Yes.
Take, for example, I am a woman and I feel that I am supposed to be a man trapped in a woman's body.
Yes.
So there are some of the drugs that I'm going to take to make me look masculine.
Yes.
And if you're a man, you feel that you're feminine. A man who is, you're a woman trapped in a man's body. So you will take drugs that will make you look feminine.
Yes. Yes.
Is there any truth in that?
Yes. I think the thing that I loved when I was, that I appreciate God for, was He gave me the ability to study. Even when I was getting out of this thing, I know it hasn't been the story for a lot of people, but for me, as I was a scholar at the time, He just led me down, like not just Bible study, but real world studies to see all these things. So what you're saying is true. It's called hormone therapy. Hormone therapy. So you find that, and the sad thing is it's being legalized rapidly. You find from children as young as 11 are being allowed to do this without the parents' consent.
Pharmacies?
Without the parents' consent. In your school, you can go and say that I feel like this, like you said, I feel like I'm trapped in the wrong body. They don't need to even address your parents. By law, it has been passed that you can begin this hormone therapy. And what it does is, just like you said, if you're feminine, there are things called puberty blockers. So for young people who have not gone through puberty yet, it blocks that process for you to now be able to develop how you want to develop.
God.
And the most evil thing about this is those same drugs are the same drugs that were used to punish rapists and pedophiles. Because what it does is it chemically castrates. So now you find that the drugs that are being pushed on these young people are drugs that were used to punish people because of doing those sexual acts. Are you seeing how perverse the devil is? And now the trap that he gets us in is when you've gone through that process, even though people might say, oh, it is reversible and anything, you get to 20 in your 20s, in your 30s, and you realize that your body is ruined.
It's not reversible.
It's not reversible. Some people even go for the males, for the girls who think that they're boys, they end up chopping off their breasts, unfortunately.
Why?
To have the chest of a man, because they're like, I don't like this. You see, I don't want to get too graphic, but you find the things that are being pushed on our young ones now, first of all, we need to be knowledgeable about them, because this information comes from, you find your child is just on YouTube watching, and they come across such a video. And I think now that idea begins, even though they might not end up doing it at that time, but you see, those are the ideas that they form.
I get you.
And if that's the idea they form, even if my child doesn't do it, my child goes to talk about it to someone else, and it becomes a conversation that is very normalized. And all of a sudden, even out of 10 people, maybe they might not do it, but one person will be affected by that conversation in a way that destroys them.
I get you.
And they go and do it. So this conversation we're having is not just about the person who has been affected, who was in it and left. It's about all of us coming together, especially as Christians, as parents, to be very aware of our children and the conversations we're having with them and allowing them to have. And also as Christians, to understand that this is a bondage unlike any other that we've ever seen. We know that we are in the end times. The things that are coming are things that are coming to destroy us completely. So we need to be very,
Maybe
very
tell
careful.
us here in Kenya, do we have these hormone therapy drugs in our chemists?
It's not in our chemists. We thank God for that. But there are things that are accessible.
Where do they get them from then? From the hospitals?
No, these are things that you can just order from abroad. The same way that you can buy something from abroad and it comes...
Online shipping.
Online shipping, yeah. So you just get the right thing, you get the right doctor, or rather the right doctor. They recommend these for you and you just ship it.
Can't our Kenyan parliament has enact laws for that?
They can.
Do we have such laws in Kenya?
I am not aware of such laws.
I will find out.
I am not aware of such laws.
Yes.
But again, this goes to, it may sound like a tangent, but it goes to even speaking about our own corruption here in Kenya. We are fighting battles that we are not supposed to be fighting.
Yeah, we are very corrupt.
We should be fighting these battles, but now you find that we are dealing with other things that are so petty. Someone has stolen money, it's like, no, we should come together to make sure that we're fighting the real enemy. If our efforts were unified in fighting the real enemy, I would sit here and tell you I am aware of a law that says that, and it is being enacted. But even with the current political landscape, you find there's so much drama that you don't even know. And you find in that drama, again, the devil is thriving.
It's not helping us.
And
actually.
these things now, you find the real issues, the real bondage is going unchecked. And now while we are dealing with issue A, issue B, the main issue, our children, they're being indoctrinated slowly into these things.
The most annoying part is that our youths or whoever wants to buy the hormonal drugs, you just ship them online. Yeah. From the click of my phone, and I buy them. Yeah. So that needs to be restricted, I guess.
It should be, but then again, if it doesn't start from a conversation with our children, you can police them, but they'll turn 18, they'll turn 20, they'll move out, and then what?
May God have mercy.
May God have mercy.
How do you feel when you see, because I've been seeing this maybe on news or even online, when you see a wedding, a woman marrying another woman, a man marrying another man, how do you feel as someone who was living in it and who knows the dangers and the evil in it, and now you're out of it?
It's very disturbing. Forgive me to say, but it's disgusting. It is. Remember, like I said earlier, the devil's plan is to really destroy God's plan for marriage.
You're right.
So when I see people who have convinced themselves that what they're doing is marriage, it destroys my soul. Because it's something that was made so beautiful by God, but the devil has come in and he has said, this is my ultimate goal. So it's blasphemy. And you have people who have convinced themselves that that's marriage.
An abuse to God's plan.
Complete abuse. Complete abuse. So my reaction to it is just, it's quite disgusting, and it's not God. I have nothing against the person. Again, I'll dislike what you're doing, and I will rebuke you for it, but I will not condemn you.
Yes.
Yeah, because if I get into that, then it goes to what you're talking about, where the church becomes a stumbling block. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can tell us, can someone become a productive member of the society after living the LGBTQ life? Like maybe yourself, now you're out of it. How is your life?
After living it 100%.
Yeah.
The Bible says that God restores. He restores the years that have been taken by the locust and the conquerors. I have been a living example of that. I thought I would never recover. I thought that I would leave that community and I would carry scars with me for the rest of my life. Okay. But the work that I have seen God do in me, even sitting here having a conversation with you, someone will be saved. starting to being a productive member of society in my work, in the things that I studied for in university. Amazing. God has opened so many doors that have been so good to me. Even in relationships now, like saying that I'm attracted to women, and it's not even a conversation.
Do you have
saying
a family?
that
Actually?
no, I don't have a family yet.
Okay.
But I'm in that place where I know that I am comfortable getting into that space without any fear, without any worry.
And I hope girls are not maybe running away from you after maybe knowing your past.
Oh, it still happens.
Oh.
It still happens.
Ah.
Like I said, you can't control what someone will think. But that's why I said we must also really trust in God, because He will lead us to the right people. There are people that will react in a certain way that will push someone back into that community. That's on them. They will answer to God for that. You will stand before God and He will ask you, why did you lead your brother to stumble? That's on them. For me, I have been set free. And I must hold on to God.
Amen.
Because that's where my freedom is.
Amen.
And I can tell you for a fact, when I've held on to God, He has given me the right people.
Lovely.
I've had the right community, I've had the right family, I've had the right relationships, I've had the right ministries. It's been amazing. But with other people, or even for myself when I was starting this journey, whenever I let go of God, I found myself in conversations that led me back into it. And it took me a while, and now I can say I'm free, and God is so good.
Amen. I like it. Actually, even having that bold move to come here and narrate your story.
Yeah. And I'm very aware that there'll be someone in the comment section who won't agree with this conversation.
You just leave them to God.
You just leave them to God.
Yes, yes.
For me, if it's, as long as that one person who was in it has seen that there's hope for them, as long as a parent has seen some signs that maybe they've been noticing but couldn't quite understand, and it leads them to saving a child.
And others would even want to contact you, maybe for
help.
There you
go. Yeah, maybe if someone can reach out, yes, if the cost of that is maybe a few people who disagree or who just don't want to talk about it, so be it.
So be it.
As long as, because I've seen the freedom.
Yes, yes.
I know the freedom. And that is something so beautiful. And that is something that needs to be preached. And and that is the good news of God.
How did you leave the UK to Kenya? And maybe how many years down the line?
I came back home in 2020.
Okay.
So actually 2019 in December. So by the time,
5 years?
Yeah, it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's been great ever since. Ups and downs, life, still adjusting to life, coming back home. There's been that, getting a new life. But God has been faithful.
And at least you've been keeping yourself busy here in Kenya. Are you working?
Yeah, yes, I'm currently working.
Okay.
I have an amazing job. I know not a lot of people get to work in their area of expertise, but God has been so gracious. I am working in the thing that I studied in, and I'm making moves in that field, and I absolutely love it. And every day I just tell God, thank you. Yeah.
Maybe you can talk to those who are in it, and maybe apart from now that we have brought the awareness, and we have sensitized them on how they can be recruited, some of the signs to watch. And also, maybe you talk to them and tell them maybe if they want to contact you. I don't know whether you're free to share your number. If you're not, they can use my number to get you. But you can talk to them. There are those who are in it. They are struggling to get out of it. You can talk to them and give them hope.
Well, the first thing is, just like you said, to give them hope. There's hope.
Yes, yes.
Our hope is in Christ, in Christ alone. There's no shortcut about that. You cannot leave a part of it, and then, to be saved from it, you have to be saved fully. And that's why I was saying it's very uncomfortable, because some of us have found good friends in there. You found people that don't give you pressure or there's so many things that we found that are good, and that's what the devil does. He gives a good thing that makes it hard to live. There is hope. There is hope in Christ. Even if you have however many conversations, God is the only one who will set you free.
Amen.
That's the first thing. But it's also important to know that the conversations are much needed, and they're always welcome. For me, I think it might be too overwhelming to be sharing my number. But I do run a ministry with my friends. It's not just for LGBTQ, but it covers everything, and it's for young people. So online we're called the Young Christian Nation.
Young
Christian Nation. Yeah,
Okay.
just look it up on. We do podcasts on YouTube. It's called the Oasis Podcast. But Young Christian Nation on Instagram, on TikTok. You can reach out. You will get to talk to me through them.
The contacts.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And it's not just that, because again, some of these things, the sin doesn't exist in a bubble. So you find even you might be struggling with LGBTQ issues,
Yes.
but you find that the root is in something else.
Oh yeah.
But that's why I'm insisting, when you come to Christ,
Yes.
He brings the full freedom. So for those conversations to be had, we can have them on those platforms. If anyone can reach out, and if you do come across someone who would benefit from a very direct intervention, I would be very open to having a conversation with them.
I'll connect you to them.
Yeah.
Maybe if you feel that there's something I've left out, at least you've been into this, and maybe you feel that there's an important note you've left, you can share with us before we finish the interview.
It's such a wide topic. There's so much that we could share. We don't want to overwhelm listeners. I think one of the two main issues have been covered, which is to talk to the people who are in it, and to talk to parents and people who are surrounding such issues to know what to look out for. And I think for now, that's enough. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We are humbled. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
You are such an important person in our society.
Yes.
We appreciate that you have come out boldly to say that you used to be in that kind of life, and now you are on this other kind of life.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that this interview will go a long way in helping our students who are at home.
Yes.
And anybody who is in the LGBTQ and wishes to come out of it, they can contact you through you have called it?
Young Christian Nation. Yes.
Young Christian Nation. And they are going to get help.
Definitely.
I am really proud of you. I am happy. You are such an icon in this life.
Thank you so much.
And you made the right decision.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Keep it up.
Thanks so much.
We really appreciate. Haya, mwiroreri wa Kanya Kauhoro TV. Gwiciria niwe igwira wira wa muthuri ugwitwo Israel Kinyolo akitwira kuria aturaga na riu hari ari arakenera Ngai ni kumuhonokia na gukorwa murutite kuma irima-ini ria nduma. Mukinyere through Young Christian Nation. Through Young Christian Nation ni ukumunyita na nigetha makorwo magiguteithia. Angikorwo wi hau wi mwanake kana wi muiritu ukoretwo wi trapped kana wi kioho-ini giki kia LGBTQ, uhitukire Young Christian Nation ni magukorwo magiguteithia uri ungihota kuma. Na ikinya ria mbere atwira ni wambe witikire wi mahitia-ini. Ria keri confess kana witikire kumbura ati nima nie ni njikite undu uyu no na ni magukunyita guoko maguteithiririe. Mwiroreri wa Kanya Kauhoro TV, tabarira ici tukoretwo tugicirehe ti kugathiriria maundu maya moru makoretwo magithie na mbere, no tucirehaga nigetha tugaguthomithia. Ungikorwo hihi ni ukuona mwana waku ena science ici hana nona no uhote gukorwo ukimuteithiriria uria atakuingira kundu kuu na guteithia nginya aria maingirite kuu makorwo makiuma. No gutire hindi muthenya ona umwe tabarira ya Kanya Kauhoro TV turi twakorwo tukinyita mbaru mitugo ta ino, na nituguthie na mbere na gukorwo tugikurehera tabarira ingi nyingi cia guguteithia na guteithia ciana ciaku. Reke tukihuruke tutigwo tukirumaga kima ka mutu wa daddies. Gwiraga mutu wa daddies ukoragwo haririirio wega muno na muno makiria ni mutu ukuheaga nginya hinya wa mwiri. Guko gwirire gwetagwo Githegi Bay and Boat Club. Ndirenda gukorwo ngithaka mithako ya boat iri tatu haria. Muhuri bica wako gwitwo Martin Njoroge aranjirwo nake ndari akorwo boat-ini mai-ini, na koguo ni turenda kuingira ho nigetha tugikorwo tugikenerera uhoro wigie boat cia guku Githegi Bay. Na ungirora wega ni ukuona o guku Githegi ni ugukorwo ugikenerera hihi kanyama choma kega, kanywaji gaku wikaire rungu rwa palm trees icio urona guku nyingi muno taki, na kwina gardens, kwina conference hall ungikorwo na micemanio na maundu magaikorwo me magiriru. Na haha ciana ihingite cukuru marehe makorwo magithaka mithako ya ciana guku Githegi Bay and Boat Club. Gukinyia hau ukorwo kiaraniria na Martin Njoroge na namba iyo hau TV-ini itu nigetha ungikorwo ni urabatara kuhurirwo mbica cia magongona o mothe nginya kuoerwo mbica iria cioyagwo na gatege getagwo drone. Martin Njoroge ni gukorwo agikurutira wira ucio na njira igwete. Ngucokeria ngatho ni undu wa gukorwo utunyitete mbaru na njira ya ku like, subscribe na gushare tabarira citu. Uguo ni ndagucokeria ngatho mwirori wa Kanya Kauhoro TV. Tukinyete haha tukinyete ni undu wa wendo waku munene ma. Wenda gutwariria thie hau thiini wa comment section ni ugukorwo ugitwariria na ni twakena muno ni kunyitanira nawe. wakiigua kamuhwa ngunyera niguo ngururirie na nguthererie tondu gaka ni kanya kohoro kuma metumi ndigi maguru ngirunga cia kaunti ya Kiambu. Ritwa riakwa ni Sera Wambui wa Mwangi.
Wakiigua kamuhwa ngunyera niguo ngururirie na nguthererie tondu gaka ni kanya kohoro kuma metumi ndigi maguru. Ritwa riakwa ni Sera Wambui wa Mwangi.